Ready? Play.
Welcome back to another episode of Painting Lines. Last week we hit a big milestone with our 100th episode, and this week we'll be without Aiden, which is unfortunate, but we're following it up with a banger, and it won't just be me. I'm excited to bring on a special guest today, Luis Flores. Luis is a former professional tennis player. He reached number 423 in the world. He's a UGA Bulldog, 2006 Division One national champion. He's a 2008 SEC indoor champion, former member of the Mexico Davis Cup team, and now he's coaching tennis and doing real estate in Tulum. And he actually combined the two in his latest venture. He is the founder of Sports Retreats Tulum, which I'm excited to hear more about. So, welcome on, Luis.
Thank you, Erik. How are you? Thank you for having me here. It's great catching up. And yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's go. So, a little background. I met Luis when I was in Tulum. I took a tennis lesson off him. It was great. He fixed my forehand. If you're ever in Tulum, I highly recommend giving him a shout. So, all right, let's jump in. Let's start here with your background because I'm very interested, like what it was like growing up in Mexico playing tennis and like how you picked tennis because I'm sure there's other sports in Mexico that are more popular, right?
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in Jalapa. And actually, like in Mexico, it's really peculiar because if you play tennis, you actually have to be in a club, like memberships. And there are big clubs in Mexico, 10 tennis courts, a soccer field, huge gyms, and stuff like that. So that's where I grew up. That was basically my second home. And when I started, it was just when my sisters were practicing when I was 6 years old. I kind of liked being on the court, and the balls that they wouldn't hit, I was there in the back, kind of like trying to hit back at them. And I don't know, it was something that it stuck when I was little. But I did all other sports too. When I was 10 to 13, I was doing soccer. I did a little bit of swimming, baseball, taekwondo.
Wow.
So I did a lot of things, which I would highly recommend to like any parents, like that have kids, to not be only one sport. So if they can do many sports, I think that helps them overall. But yeah, growing up in Jalapa, up until the age of 14. And then when I was 14, I left to Palm Springs. I went there. It was a Mexican tennis academy, directed by this really amazing coach. His name is Jose Higueras. He's actually, I don't know if he's still at USDA, but he was like in charge of a big area of the USDA development, uh, top juniors and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely resonate with that because I hear a lot of people say that it's more important to have, other sports under your belt too. And I think mostly just like for injuries as well. Burnout is a big thing. So yeah, definitely want to kind of stay as active as you can as a kid. Speaking of tennis in Mexico, I saw so Rodrigo Pacheco, he recently got the first win in the Acapulco main draw since like 2011, I believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is the state of tennis right now in Mexico? Is it gaining popularity? Because, here in the States, it's kind of the new hottest thing right now.
Yeah, like tennis has always been there, but I think the enabling of tennis players, Mexican tennis players, winning matches in tournaments like Acapulco or even a challenger. He won, I think, around in a challenger right now in Mexico City. When kids start seeing that, okay, there's Mexican guys or Mexican girls doing good, because there's Mexican girls that have also been doing great lately, like Renata Sarasua. She's
Mhm.
playing the main draws of the Grand Slams, and that we didn't have that before. So I think it does unlock something into, okay, we can maybe do something, um, because Mexico, like tennis in Mexico, has been really bad for the past many decades, so
Mhm.
it's been something that we always ask, like, hey, what's going on? Like, there's sponsors, there's money, there's a lot of people, there's definitely the talent, but what's going on? Why they're not making it? So it has to do with some cultural, I think, issues of comfort, like Mexico, like being close to family, being close to friends. uh, the mentality wise, I think it
Mhm.
changes in comparison with the US, they support sports from even high school, middle school. Like they're getting recruited by colleges. So it's a different mindset, it's a different culture. But tennis could be good, like
Hmm.
you can have one good player and then you can take many other players to start believing in that.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty interesting. And I think that's a good segue into my next question. So you left to Palm Springs when you were 14, and I'm just kind of curious, was the goal then to become a professional, or was the goal then to go play in college? Like which kind of came first there?
Yeah, first was professional. Definitely. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm leaving home, if I'm making a sacrifice, I want to go all the way. Like
Hmm.
college, unfortunately, for a lot of people, like it's like, oh, I didn't make it. So I had, at least in the tennis world,
Yeah, it's
like
like a backup plan, kind
it's
of.
like a backup plan, which I think is changing more and more. Like
Hmm.
college players are getting to the top, are winning tournaments. You can mature a lot more in college than maybe pros. It depends. Everybody
Hmm.
it's different, but it's a different avenue of reaching the same goal. You can develop at a college level if you have a good coach, a good team, and if you're smart. Because you can go in college and party your ass off, and you know you have to choose if you want to study social life and sports, and if you add that to a doctorate, because there's people that have been in tennis teams or other sports and they do really difficult careers, they're like, that's impressive.
Hmm. Yeah, and what do you think about the team aspect too in college tennis? Like, I
Oh, it's
feel like
awesome.
you like having the team because growing up playing tennis, it's so individualistic. And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but like once you got to college, that's kind of the first taste of a team that you had. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a first real taste, yes, but
Hmm.
because when I was growing up, 14s and 16s, you go to tournaments like international tournaments where two of the best players of the country go. And
Hmm.
then they go, it's like a mini Davis Cup, 14
Yeah.
and under is Davis Cup, 16 and under Davis Cup. And that was the first team experience that I had.
Oh,
And
nice.
I loved it. Yeah. Even though, like you said, like tennis is an individualistic sport,
Hmm.
you have the taste of that. And in college, it was a great experience. You have that in Davis Cup too. I know there's a lot of tournaments or events that are coming up that they have to do with like team tennis or some sort of team, uh, which is great. But at least for me, the college experience was awesome, and I had the luck and the possibility of winning. It was like two times. It was 2006 and 2007. So for me, it was like, okay, it was amazing experience.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So, just kind of backing up a bit, what was the college recruiting process like? Because we've had Ivan Yatsuk on before, Ivan actually, and he founded a company called Recruited.pro, Recruited Pro, where he helps kids essentially get placed into college, specifically tennis players. And from what he was saying, the system is so it's hard. It's real hard. Like, I can speak on American sports like football, baseball. You play in high school, college coaches come to watch you, and then, if you're lucky, you get an offer and that's that. But I know tennis is a lot different. So if you can just kind of go through the recruiting process and how you ended up at UGA, like why Georgia? I know they're an awesome tennis team, but what made you pick them?
Yeah, like the recruiting, it does start in like juniors when you go to like the US Open. You're 17, you're 18, and the top coaches are there, watching
Hmm.
the matches. They can approach you. There's different rules, and clearing houses of the NCAAs, but the kids get approached when they're 17, 18. If they are in the US, they get approached right now since they're 14, 15, depending on their
Hmm.
UTR and rankings. But back then when I was playing, um, I got approached, you get approached by agents too, like
Wow.
Octagon, and if they see a future, and but they help you for the pro, obviously,
Hmm.
like the agents want you to go pro, and then you get recruited by the teams. And I got recruited by Texas, Illinois, and Georgia, the ones that I took seriously, because I wasn't gonna go to the university. I was gonna go pro. And then at the
Hmm.
last
Yeah.
second, I decided to do it. And then I was doing
Wow.
homeschool, and then I had to crunch. like a lot of semesters into really one, through
Yeah.
different avenues. It was an
Yeah.
experience, and then I had to stop playing tournaments in order for me to finish school. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to Georgia. What was it? Through a Mexican coach. He was
Hmm.
assistant coach at the time, and he approached me, and it was one of the schools that I was most interested, based on the team, on the coach. Um, for me, my school that I chose at first was actually Illinois, and I
Interesting.
didn't. Yeah, yeah, I didn't get in for because of a course, like an English course that they didn't want to take for the clearinghouse.
Hmm.
And then Georgia was like, yeah, yeah, we can take you here, and like, yeah, that's done.
Yeah, it sounds like everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. It was where my heart wanted to go, and ended
Yeah.
up going. So I'm glad.
Do you know Michael Costas, the comedian who he played tennis as well? I think you know who I'm
Yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm
I mean,
pretty
I
sure
don't know
he,
him personally, but yeah,
yeah, I'm pretty sure he played at Illinois during the same time you played college as well.
it
So if you
sounds
would
so
have went to
familiar.
Illinois, I think you would have been on his team. He's yeah, but funny story. Have you ever been like had you been to Georgia before this or no? Because I feel like going from Mexico to Georgia is kind of like night and day, at
Yeah,
least
it's
like
it's
culturally or
yeah, 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 it's so different. I mean, when I was 14, I went to Palm Springs, and then from Palm Springs, I went to New Jersey, and then I
okay.
stayed in New Jersey until school. And then I came back to New Jersey after I graduated. But obviously, the difference it's big,
Yeah.
culturally.
Like
Like, I wasn't going to school, so the first semester was definitely an adjustment for me.
mhm,
Going back to school, having to go to tutors, having to go practice. You
mhm,
are responsible for your for your own hours,
mhm.
and it took me a while for that to like kick in. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys won a couple championships. Were the tennis players kind of like the cool kids on campus, like the athletes, or was it mostly, football? Like, do you guys do well with
Football.
the ladies? Like how did that work?
Yeah, football. They're always going to be the
Yeah.
most famous, but we did
Yeah.
have a little bit of like crowd, like Georgia. In
Yeah.
Georgia, you get like 2,000, sometimes 3,000
Whoa.
people watching you, which is unheard of. For me, it's the best place to play at the college sports.
Hmm.
Like in tennis, at least. They have amazing facilities. And you play like not so good teams, and people go watch you play. And sometimes we would go to like our rival schools, and we're like,
Hmm.
okay, there's gonna be some rowdy, like some
Yeah.
crowd
Oh
is
yeah.
gonna be screaming, and nobody would show, or really few people. And it does help when you have that backup of, okay, yeah, there's people coming watching us. With the ladies, it doesn't help as much as you might think. I mean, you play football, but we were recognized. Yeah, a bunch
Hmm.
of the football players were like, "Hey," because we were ranked number one, number
Right.
two.
Yeah.
We won it a couple times, so it felt good to be recognized. Like, "Hey, you guys are doing great." So he's like, "Hey." You get Olympians walking past you, like
Hmm.
the swimmers and the gymnasts, and all the sports. They have really good level at Georgia, and when I was there too. And it was like, okay, I was starstruck because this girl was winning the Olympics 2 months back, and now she's like in
Wow.
school, and we're going to school together. So it's amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely a mutual respect between athletes of other sports. Like even, whatever the sport is, it's just kind of like like you tip your hat to them. But kind of sticking on those championships, can you just describe the dynamic of the team of the championship team? Because unfortunately, I've never been on a championship team, but I've like studied a lot and I've read a lot into these teams, and there's just something different about them. Like the trust you have to have with one another, like all the work that's put in, the blood, sweat, and tears. Like, how did you guys push each other, motivate each other? Just kind of like because I think that's what takes a team to the next level. It's the actual mentality of the team, and I just want to hear like your experience of being on that and how high the level was.
Yeah, no, like we had good players all around, and it starts with the coaching. Obviously, the
Hmm.
culture at Georgia Tennis, it's actually amazing. I just came back from an event of his retirement party, and you can see all the Georgia guys from the 60s, 70s, 80s going to this type of events, which it's unheard of, like it's really like a brotherhood. So when you create that type of atmosphere, and you're like, okay, you're playing for something more than yourself. Okay, you put
Mm-hmm.
in the G in the back. Like you're playing for the school, and we took that into account in our teams. And we had good teams, so it's tough to be that motivated if you're like top lower teams that you're like, okay, we might not make it into the NCAA's, but when you're playing like, hey, we can do some damage into the tournaments and
Mm-hmm.
we can win, then you start believing. You probably start believing before that. But yeah, it starts from the 6:30 a.m. runs in the freezing cold, having
Mm-hmm.
everybody showing there. If someone doesn't show, we're all responsible for it. So the little things that start making you a team, the experiences, the trips. We would be roommates, so we would go out downtown together. It just builds off, and you need, like, obviously good leaders. At the time we
Yeah.
had great leaders, like John Isner was in my team.
Mm-hmm.
He was a leader, like a natural leader, so that helped us a lot, setting the tone for the next year that we wanted after he left. So, which
Mm-hmm.
was important because, like, okay, the superstar left, we were not supposed to win that second year. I was injured like most of the year, and we ended up winning somehow. So it was like,
Yeah.
wow, like double wow, like back to back. Um, but yeah, it's just like, I forgot what was the
Yeah,
the
just
question. I'm
it was
hearing now, but it's
you
just
kind of hit it. It was just
go
basically
go.
like tell me about the vibe of the team, and yeah, you
Yeah,
hit it right there. And you're talking about Isner. It's funny. I was doing some research. I was reading some old articles, and he had some nice words to say about you, like back then, just saying that you're a top player in the country. He thinks very highly of you. So I could see that kind of like natural born leader in him if he's being quoted in the articles, and especially if he's talking about you too.
no, he's an amazing person too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever seen the University of Florida football documentary on Netflix? I forget what it's called, but it basically highlights like their 2006 national championship team, and like, dude, that gives you the chills. Like those
yeah,
guys were not messing around.
yeah.
So I'm just kind of imagining that like in your case with
No,
the
it's cool, and you
yeah.
can feel it. Like the first year that I played, we lost actually in the finals. We went
Oh.
undefeated the whole year. We lost in the finals. So after we lost, we were like, this should have not happened.
Hmm.
Let's get more serious.
Hmm.
Like we can make it the next year. And then John came back. He could have probably played pro after that. But yeah, he just like locked in right after the loss. We're like, okay, and you can hear it in like other championship teams, like
Hmm.
from basketball and NHL, like they know from it's a previous, like feeling like, okay, we got it this year, and then you
Yeah.
put in all the work from there. But yeah, it probably happened like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Did it get pretty intense too when you guys were playing practice sets against each other? Like, would you ever, I guess, bicker with your own teammates? But in a good way. It's kind of like
Yeah, I
you
think
push each other, right?
that's a good thing, like, and that
Hmm.
you actually want a little bit of that in a team because it's a fighting spirit, and
Right.
you're playing for something. Hey, you're playing for my spot. I mean, right now I think they're giving more scholarships than ever before.
Mm.
When I was playing, it was like 4.5. Right now, I think they're gonna give 8 or 9 in a
Wow.
team, which
Wow.
is great because a lot of
Yeah.
people are gonna have that chance. But things with NIL and stuff like that, things are
Hmm.
changing. They're like, I don't know.
Oh,
They're,
I
they
know.
haven't landed yet. A lot of things are in the air.
Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely going to be an interesting time for all of college sports, but that was an awesome background. I really, really appreciate you sharing that. So let's switch gears here and kind of get into more tennis specific questions. I'm just wondering, what was your play style? Like, was there a player that you looked up to that you tried to model how they played?
Yeah, I liked I liked Agassi, how he played. He when he
Yeah.
started dominating from the back,
But you
everybody
you have
grew
a
up.
one-hander, don't you?
I have a two-handed.
Oh,
In the
okay.
lesson,
When
in
you
the
in the
lesson, I
lesson
was
you were
doing
doing one.
one-handed.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but I'm a two-handed back, and I
Uh-huh.
almost switched when I was 17, 16 to one-handed, but never did.
Hmm. Yeah. No. So
And
Agassi.
yeah, Agassi, I like Carlos Moya.
Hmm. Yeah, of course.
His forehand was amazing. Um, and then who else I liked? Marat Safin, I
Oh,
think.
yeah. You see he's coaching Rublev now.
Yeah, yeah,
Or like
yeah.
partially, I think.
I'm eager to see what they do together.
I know. That's gonna be awesome. Um, yeah, just because he was so explosive back in the day. and
Yeah, but my
Rublev.
game was
Yeah,
like heavy forehand. I like to
right.
hit heavy
Hmm.
forehand to the backhand. Like Nadal style, maybe.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
not Nadal level,
yeah.
but I realized that my forehand would do damage to the other guy's
Uh-huh.
backhand. I had a really good serve. I was a little bit scrappy. I would use my slice. I would play you around differently with like
Hmm.
different heights, different spins. And yeah, I would run around my forehand and try to work the point from there.
Yeah.
But it, there were times that my backhand was not as good. There were times
Hmm.
that it was clicking, like things when you're on tour, like you cannot expect everything to be clicking. You can expect that
Right.
maybe 10% of the year, the rest of it, it's gonna be like, let's grind through,
Right.
let's figure it out.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like you have some like variety in your play style, but is it true? I kind of hear the stereotype a lot that the development of American tennis players is primarily focused on power, whereas like in Europe or South America, it's, crafting points. Like, did you notice that by any chance?
Yeah,
Or
no,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, from
it's like
like
in America
Spanish.
just hitting the shit out of the ball, right?
Yeah, they hit harder, but it helps them too because the
Yeah.
better servers are from the US,
Hmm.
most of the time. And
Hmm.
if you see a Spanish guy, most of the time he's not going to have a big serve. So
Yeah.
the good players are the ones developing everything. Okay, they
Hmm.
they might have a coach only for the serve. I've seen it
Wow,
happen, and they have
really?
coaches for the ground strokes, and they have coaches for your transition game. So like you can do that,
Hmm.
or you can
Right.
stay with a coach that you know what he's
Hmm.
doing and trying to develop that way. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, being on tour and coaching tennis, I'm sure you've played at some pretty cool tennis courts. Do you have one that kind of sticks out to you as like the most amazing court you've ever played on?
um yes, actually, the court where I used to live, it's an indoor court, and that was amazing. Last time I went, I was like, I couldn't believe I was hitting like
Hmm.
this court. It was like,
Yeah.
but that was not in tournaments, that was just like practicing. I would think Wimbledon,
Hmm.
the courts at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was like really intimate. You can see the people like walking around, like you can hear the crowd a little, like
Hmm.
it's just like right there,
Yeah.
and feeling the grass is just, it's a different feeling that it's tough to
Hmm.
describe because we as tennis player, we don't get to play on grass a lot.
Hmm.
Maybe two times a year, even from top juniors. And he's just like, "Hey, I'm at Wimbledon, and Pete Sampras was here." Just the feeling of
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Maybe it
sure.
wasn't the court, maybe, but it was the feeling of, okay,
Yeah.
I'm in the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm actually gonna go this summer with my cousin. We don't have tickets, but we're gonna queue up at least 2 days. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good luck
So
with that.
I know, right? I'm kind of, it sounds great in theory, right? But then when you're there and it's all rainy and cold and you're like just sitting in line for 24 hours, we'll see.
I,
Hopefully it's worth it.
I have to admit, when I
Yeah.
played, we stopped a lot. It was
Oh,
like we would jump in, 5 minute warm up, rain. Jump
yeah.
in, one game, rain. So, but
It's always
they have
raining.
the courts there right now. I think one or
Hmm.
two courts they have the roof.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. But what about scenic? Like, have you played, somewhere in Europe where it's overlooking the coast with like mountains in the background? Because that's kind of
Yes.
that's what I dream of, man. That is
And you know
just,
what? Now that you said it,
uh-huh.
I remember like going to Switzerland. I think it was Lugano. And exactly when you said, I'm like in a tennis court, amazing, like green
Yeah.
pasture, like mountains, and you can see
Yeah.
like animals from the far. Like if it was like a ranch, but the colors were beautiful and
Oh,
like mountains everywhere. And it
yeah.
was actually probably was November, October. It was starting to be a little bit
Hmm.
cold, and that made it a little bit more mystique. I just remember
Right,
that.
right.
That's crazy, but I remember being a paradise. Like,
Yeah.
and you can see the wooden lodges like on the side,
Hmm.
and just like a I don't know, like a movie.
Right. Yeah. I gotta say Casa Zolo, right? That's what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah, Casacholo,
That
yeah.
Cholo, that's got to be one of my top five because it feels like you're playing tennis right in the middle of a jungle. Like you hear
Yeah,
the wildlife, there's trees surrounding you. It was
it's a
great.
trip. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And
It is.
everybody that has gone to the court, they're like, "Oh my god!" Like it feels different, because you're not
Yeah.
in a club. but you're in the middle of the jungle. The court is so
Uh-huh.
nice, and then the house right there is just, yeah. When I first went there, I'm like, okay, this guy has something here.
Yeah.
I have to be here, and
Uh-huh.
it's happening. So
Right. No, that's awesome. So I'm gonna pick your coaching brain here a little bit. And I always ask, when we have pretty prominent guests on, like, what can I do in the weight room for tennis? Because I'm so used to just moving heavy weight and lifting, like squat, bench, but I'm looking for more tennis specific workouts. And like what do you have in mind there?
I like using like mobility drills and
Mm-hmm.
agility drills because in the tennis court you have to adjust to certain amount of patterns. The
Mm-hmm.
ball, the other guy's hitting the ball a certain way, so you have to be quick at it, but you have to be agile. So I like working a lot on the footwork, agility, eye hand coordination, like
Yeah.
perception of the court. If it's like a gym workout, obviously the explosive exercises, tennis,
Mm-hmm.
it's short points, but really explosive points with balance. So you want to be able to do plyometric workouts where you like explode. I would not practice, but I would run long distance, maybe
Oh God, I don't want to hear that.
maybe
I'm kidding.
once a I was gonna
Once
say
a
once
week,
a
right?
day, but no,
Oh,
once a week,
yeah. Yeah,
just to
yeah.
keep a little bit of the VO2 max and the cardio going.
Mm-hmm.
But you really want to get your cardio on like longer rallies, So
Mm-hmm.
if your coach is feeding you to really get your heart rate going, playing
Yeah.
tennis, and outside of the tennis court, yeah, a lot of plyo workout, strengthening you need it, but you want to probably use more complex exercises, not like
Mm-hmm.
maybe just like a quad exercise, but maybe like a launch going into
Right, right.
something different that you can create some power. There's the landmine workouts that I like because they're explosive using
Mm-hmm.
your whole body. So you want to incorporate most of your body, maybe not just biceps, but
Right, right.
something else where you can create a power and transfer it someplace else, which is what you do in the tennis court.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense too. I've also just started training like obliques a lot too. Just
Yeah.
medicine ball, slamming them against the wall, doing
Yes,
all
that helps
that.
a lot.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that. What's your favorite tennis memory? Like, is there something that sticks out to you that you still can remember clear as day right now?
I would say up there would be the national championships
Mm-hmm.
with Georgia. Um, I don't know. It was just like a feeling like I would tell the team is like, "Hey, anything can happen now," and I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
ultimatum. I mean, like it was amazing.
yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Um, I remember that really clear. Maybe my first national championship when I was
Mm-hmm.
10. I remember that too. The feeling like, oh, like
Yeah.
I won, like national championship, and that stuck. When I
Mm-hmm.
was 10 years old. Um, what else? Playing the Grand Slams. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it was a great
Yeah, it's
experience.
got to
I
be
got to
awesome.
play Wimbledon, French Open, and U.S. Open.
Mm-hmm.
I was injured for Australia, but I would have loved to go. I haven't been.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So out of the three slams that you've played in, you said Wimbledon was probably your favorite. And then would you say US Open or French Open?
Um, I would say the atmosphere is completely different in all the
Yes.
tournaments.
Yes.
Like I felt like in New York, there's a lot of people. So
Hmm.
energy wise, if you were in the crowd, you would be like so tired,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but that's the fun part about New York too,
Hmm.
it's like really high intensity. In French Open and Wimbledon, it's a little bit more intimate. um, French Open I like because playing on clay is like playing. You want to battle, like
Hmm.
you're like
Yeah.
getting dirty
It's
with the
gritty.
clay,
Yeah.
and you want to run and like
Uh-huh.
scream. But like experience overall, I think Wimbledon, and that's the one I did the best too. I lost in the
Mm.
quarterfinals against Songa.
Wow.
He he played
Joe
amazing.
Wolford. Yeah.
I actually played good, but I had like
Yeah.
no chance. Like the Sampras matches that he would win 4-3 or 4-2, that you
Hmm.
would think he was close, but he wasn't that close. I felt like that. I felt that I had
Yeah.
a small opening and no chance.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's so funny. I don't even know what's worse if you kind of get like crushed and I guess you didn't have high hopes, or you played the best that you could and then all of a sudden the guy just played better than you.
Yeah,
Like that kind of reminds me of Zverev today. Zverev, I don't know if you saw, but he lost
I haven't
Monte
seen.
Carlo. Yeah, okay. So the in the press conference after, the reporter asked him, or he kind of like asked a long-winded question that was more so phrased as a statement, but he basically said, "You played well in that third set. Like, do you think you
Yeah,
just played better?" And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I played terribly."
yeah,
So it's all just like different perspective. Maybe he kind of holds himself to a higher standard.
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting when players kind of, I don't know if it discounts the other guy if you say, no, I played bad. That's why I lost. Or it's not, he played
Exactly.
better than me. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the interview, but I
mm-hmm,
know sometimes the ego might get in the way. We don't want to
mm-hmm.
accept that the other guy was better.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the healthier way to go. Like, hey, this guy was better. I have to keep working.
yeah,
Maybe there was a reason why he lost. I don't know. I didn't see the match, but I want to see it now. I'm
yeah, definitely catch the
interested in
highlights.
seeing.
So, what was your personality on court? Like, did you show a lot of emotion? Were you stone cold? Would you celebrate? Like, if you did celebrate, what was it?
Yeah, I did celebrate. I
Yeah.
did a bunch of fist pump and vamos
Vamos. Yeah.
all over the place. School would say obviously go dogs, but yeah, I just like the fist
Uh-huh.
pump. I didn't do anything too crazy. I was actually really, you would talk to me and I would be really calm. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's my life. I'm like
Yeah.
really chill, really calm. But in the court, I was transformed a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
did I
Yeah.
did get upset many times. I threw some rackets here and there.
Oh,
I have to admit it. Like
yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to lie. I did break some rackets, but I learned from that. When I
Yeah.
was like maybe 17, when I was 18, I started being a little bit more mature. When I was in school, I still have some temper tantrums, but I realized that they were not helping me,
Mm-hmm.
and you start changing that habit. But yeah, I did have my temper. I was like a perfectionist, so
Yeah.
if anything went wrong, even though 20 shots were really good, like I would get upset with myself, unnecessary. And I see
Yeah.
that sometimes in some players, and I'm like, hey, no, like relax, it's fine. Like it's good
Mm-hmm.
to be a perfectionist, but
Yeah.
you need to know where to draw that line, that point.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. Well, tennis is, it's mostly mental, right? And did you ever have any like routines? Like for example, Federer has, I think, like a 15-second routine where it's all right, first 5 seconds kind of reflecting on what happened, next 5 seconds like focusing on the present moment, and then last 5 seconds like, all right, what are you going to do in the future? Like, would you have a moment that you would calm yourself down or like have positive self-talk? Like, what did you do to get through kind of hard times on court?
Yeah, no, you actually need to do that and regulate it for sure. You
Hmm.
have the in between points, you have that 30, 40 second window where you examine what's going on. Oh, if he played a better point or I did a
Hmm.
mistake. Why did I did a mistake? I choked, I
Yeah.
didn't move, or I should have done this or that. And that information, that feedback has to happen so fast. But the
Yeah.
thing that, yeah, it's quick. I mean, the best thing to do, I'm not saying you don't do it all the time. Obviously, you're
Hmm.
in your head and there's emotions and there's outside things that are bothering you. But the best case scenario would be after the point to go back to the strings because that keeps your shoulders relaxed, keep your gaze
Hmm.
down, which you're not
Yeah.
focusing on other areas.
Yeah.
And that's a way to focus. And then from there, okay, what happened in the point? It was a good
Hmm.
point. I did this. I recognize that that hurt him. Maybe I'm gonna do it more, or
Right.
maybe I have to move my feet, or I cannot put the ball in play. What do I have to do? I have to move
Hmm.
my feet, see the ball really clear, go down the middle. Like it
Yeah.
depends on the situation, but sometimes negativity carries away, doubt starts happening, the self-talk starts becoming
Yeah.
different certain talk, and that's gonna happen most of the time. So that's when
Uh,
like the mental part, the mental strength, the mindset comes
hmm.
into play. Like everybody can play, but yeah, the mind actually, the Djokovic, the Nadal's, the
Oh.
Federers, that's what took them for so long. And I
Hmm.
mean, Novak's still playing, but those guys were amazing. I don't know when we're gonna see all those three type of guys. Hopefully soon. I
Yeah, I
mean,
was gonna say,
we were lucky too.
I don't know if it'll be hopefully in our lifetimes, but Yeah, that's crazy. Just kind of going like to wrap things up with your tennis career. What was it like transitioning from professional? Like, was there a moment when you kind of knew, all right, I need to stop? Was it injury? Like, what? Just kind of walk us through like that transitional phase of your life.
Yeah, like college tennis, like
Hmm.
when you're in that type of school where everything is taken care of from the strings, they give you clothing, you don't have to worry about money at all. Obviously, you just have to perform, you have to go to school, get good grades, be a good student athlete. But in pros, like money comes into place. If you don't have a sponsor, everything costs you money. If you want to travel with a coach, it's gonna be double in some expenses. So it's difficult to stay level headed.
Hmm.
And many like a lot of the times quitting is just like it's really difficult to make it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
mentally, everything has to go right, and then you need to have a little bit of luck on top of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, like you can do everything perfect, and don't like things don't happen. But um, yeah, like the transition, it's crazy because you go from playing to in these amazing matches into tournaments that are like in the middle of nowhere. The court is backed,
Hmm.
it's cracked. You're
Yeah.
playing in the wind, nobody's watching you. So the future, like the minor leagues, it's where you have to handle, and you don't want to be there for long. You want to
Hmm.
play
Yeah.
maybe a few, and you want to get up to the challengers
Hmm.
somehow, somewhere. Yeah,
Right.
because yeah,
Right.
the futures are tough. You don't want to be hanging there
Hmm.
a long time.
No, that makes sense. Did you kind of fall out of love with tennis and take a break, or were you still like right into coaching after?
No, like no, I took a little break.
Hmm. Yeah.
I have had my love hate relationship with tennis,
Hmm.
more than
I think
once.
I think everyone has.
Yes, and that's fine, like
Uh,
it's good. It's given me so much from friendships, experiences, other than the championships or that, like the things that I lived, I'm like, oh man, that's great, like it's amazing that's happening. Let's do more.
Tennis to me is kind of like a drug because it takes and takes like so much, but then it just gives you a little bit back to keep you going. You know what I mean? It's like you can get out there and just have a shitty practice or shitty game, and then you hit that sick winner down the line. You're like, that was awesome. Then it makes you want to come back the next day and go. But yeah, it's an amazing sport.
Yeah, I think it happens. It happened to me. Yeah, and then
Hmm.
you start. Yeah, then it's adrenaline. It's the competition. It's the
Hmm.
one on one or like solving the problem. The other guy. It's I want to beat the other guy.
Right.
It's not
Right.
about winning or losing, but it's like it feels good, and it starts with like, oh, I hit so clean. Like it felt in the
Yeah.
strings, and then when you hear that sound like, "Pah," like we're like,
Yep.
oh, okay. And then the
Yeah.
ball goes, and you're like, "Crap!
Yes.
I don't know how I did that, but I did something. It felt
I
good."
know, I know. And then you just like imagine it when you're home. And I started recording myself playing too. So like
Awesome. That's awesome
it,
too.
yeah, it helps a lot too to break down the film and see like, okay, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Um, well, hey, let's talk about sports Tulum retreats now because I was super excited when you told me about this and I'm really thrilled to kind of learn more. So why don't you give us a little background on it and then what motivated you to start this?
Well, I think what motivated me is just like what I wanted to do also with myself, like
Hmm.
creating better habits, just trying to eat healthier, um, from struggling too, like from the struggling part, hitting some lows, thinking negatively. I was like, okay,
Hmm.
this has to stop. I cannot keep doing this to
Yeah.
myself. And I started meditating. I started focusing more on myself, on my own development, and I saw some changes, and I'm like, okay, like, and I knew the mind was super important. Tennis taught me that, like it's a
Hmm.
mental game. So I'm like, okay, what did I do correct in my tennis career? Okay, I did this, I did that. I started organizing a little bit better. But the mental part for me was like, okay, amazing. And there's something
Hmm.
here that I can help people with, the kids that come, whether they're higher performance or not, or a lower level, it is still a mental game, and you're gonna miss a shot. And what's gonna happen after you miss the shot?
Yeah.
So for me, that's how it started. And I've always
Hmm.
been into like, oh, like supplements here, that maybe that could help there. I'm not a big believer on supplements. I
Hmm.
rather eat healthy, and get my
Yeah.
vitamins and my fruits and my vegetables and my protein. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having some supplementation. But I've always been like curious about all of that part, the wellness part, and
Hmm.
the sauna and what the ice bath can do to you, with the inflammation, with the mental part that you're breaking some fears, with the recovering part, So I think they're a little bit of connected.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think I started enjoying it, and I started talking to people that do it, and really healthy people. They do have sometimes those habits, they exercise, they take care of their bodies, they take care of their minds, So I'm like, okay, I want to be part of that a little bit more.
Right.
So other than teaching, I'm trying to create those
Hmm.
events and those spaces for people to come, have a great tennis atmosphere, play good tennis, have some great workouts, focusing on mobility. Everybody has, maybe the hips are a little bit tight, maybe
Hmm.
the shoulder it's a little bit tight. So it's not all about strength, but it's about injury prevention. Like
Hmm.
with the hand, or it could be the knee, it could be something, for people to educate themselves of, okay, something is hurting, what can I do? I don't
Yeah.
have to go to a trainer to pay maybe $200. Maybe I can do this type of exercises, which nowadays you can get it through ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
Through, a lot of people have even podcasts. They have great
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
value information at our fingertips. So it's no excuse, but I think people have to do it. So
Hmm.
everybody knows that they have to eat healthy. Everybody knows they have to put in the work, but at the same time, we don't do it. So it's a space where, hey, you're gonna be here these 5 6 days. This is the program. Let's try to keep it up, and try to do some mental work, some journaling, visualizing. I like people to visualize how they hit the ball, what corrections
Hmm.
are they doing. If they are the type of player that gets nervous in matches, okay, visualize that you're in a match. You're
Right.
40, you're 40 all, you're 7 second set. Get into that feeling. How does it feel? Okay, breathe in, breathe out, and try to do a nice serve, so you focus on the present, on what your body has to do instead of the result of it.
Right.
So it's just
Right.
like, it gives you a little bit more focus. If you can meditate longer periods of time, you're going to be
Hmm.
more focused longer periods of time in court, in something that you're liking to do. So there's many benefits on how it started. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm enjoying the process.
Totally, totally. And just kind of going back to what you said about the longer you meditate, like the more it's going to help. Meditating's hard. It's literally like a muscle that you have to train. Because I remember when I first started, I think I can only focus my attention for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Now I'm like up to 10 minutes, like
Yeah.
just breathing. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. Yeah, that's neat. Is all this it's a group setting, right? So like walk us through a typical day of what you can expect, whether it's like playing tennis in the morning, eating some breakfast, and then the recovery part.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, I think what I want to bring is for people that come, that they can also do activities like getting to know Tulum.
Hmm.
So it would look like, yeah, wake up in the morning, maybe having some activation exercises, get the body going. Could be
Hmm.
mobility, could be jump rope, it could be some sort of agility drill, have some meditation. It could be it could be yoga, or it could be just meditation, or it could be breath work.
Right. Right.
The thing is to mix it up for everybody to do a little bit of everything, and to see if
Hmm.
whatever works for you to keep doing it. Oh, okay, this worked for me. I'm familiar with this. Okay, let's stick on it. But maybe to provide 3 or 4 things that people are going to be doing, and then doing maybe, after tennis, we do the recovery part. We go to the
Hmm.
cenotes.
Hey.
We do some stretching exercises. Some days we might go to the beach, enjoy, relax, maybe stretch at the beach. I want to incorporate like more like the yoga exercises that are a little bit more
Hmm.
friendly on the body, and that you know your limits, and it also helps with the mind. So I like Pilates, yoga. Definitely for me, it's a go. Novak Djokovic
Hmm.
does yoga. It's injury
Oh yeah.
prevention too. It's a flexibility. It's longer term goals, longer longevity. So
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so we would enjoy the beach, um, have great meals, have
Oh
some
yeah.
tacos, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
Have some Mexican food, people, but
Uh-huh.
try to keep it as healthy as possible,
Yeah, and
like
connection,
people feel good.
it's a good spot for because that's what I love about tennis too. It's the connection. Whenever you go to a group session, it's just you guys are bonded by your love for tennis, and then you go grab drinks after, watch a tennis
Exactly.
match. It's fun. It's a good sense of community.
Exactly. And do activities together,
Hmm.
You're gonna have your own time. There's gonna be some space like, hey, if you want to go here or there, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have group activities between just playing in the tennis court, doing fitness together, doing
Hmm.
some like things that we would do in college for team bonding, like
Right, right.
maybe some team bonding activities, maybe some games, and yeah, create some new friendships,
Hmm.
hopefully,
Yeah.
like not everybody's gonna be happy. It might not be
Hmm.
for everybody, but hey, if you can make one good connection while you're here and you like the scenery and you love Tulum because you went to the ruins, you did many places, and you're feeling good about yourself. For me, that's
Hmm.
a successful trip. I want to be in that trip.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you, man. So have these tennis retreats always been a thing? Because I remember, it must have been back in like 2015. My parents would go to Club Med in I think Port St. Lucie, which is no longer there. They closed it down, and they would go with a bunch of their friends and just play tennis and like get hammered. And so like there was no holistic like recovery approach or anything. So I'm just wondering when that became a bigger part of the tennis retreat because I'm sure tennis retreats like people have been doing it forever, but now people are more focused on like okay, the psychological part of it too. Was this something you've seen maybe the last 5 years, couple years? Like when did you see it explode onto the scene?
No, yeah, I saw it even here in Tulum, with the
Hmm.
yoga. I saw that a lot of people would come here to do yoga. They would get their certifications, and I think people are starting to choose wellness over other things. A little bit more
Hmm.
holistic, a little bit more natural, a little bit more organic. Uh, I started doing that myself, so I think. Um, it's powerful for people to realize like, okay, there's something wrong with me here. It could be from the mental aspect, it could be
Hmm.
from emotional aspect, but uh, knowing that you can have some help even from the mental perspective, or exercising, or doing the anti-inflammatory, anti-stress techniques, breathing exercises, it just adds up to the overall wellness of someone. It could be something,
Hmm.
it could be the other thing or
Yeah.
other, but you'll find something, that it works for you, that is going to be a little bit more positive
Hmm.
in your life. I don't know.
Right. No, exactly. I feel like it's just, getting 1% better every day. Like it's just little wins, you stack them up and then you don't see the results right away, but after, consistency and time, they just build on each other. And I feel like that's exactly, the skills that you would learn here too.
Yeah.
Great. So let's kind of transition into another part of the podcast. I just want to hear your thoughts on today's tennis. Like, for example, how has tennis changed from when you played to what you're seeing right now on TV?
I think it's more physical now.
Mm-hmm.
There's better movers that hit the ball harder.
Yeah.
That they're just doing overall better because it's just a transitioning of the coaching after good coaching after good coaching. And right now, with the technology that we have, checking the biomechanics and the being a little bit more accessible, you can have better technique, which is going to make you rip
Mm-hmm.
the heck out of the ball with control.
Yeah.
And but yeah, definitely everything is getting better, even
Mm-hmm.
from nutrition standpoint, from recovery standpoint, from strengthening. The right fit for the right player. Not because you might need a little bit more of cardio. It would
Mm-hmm.
be for me. So it's just like the personalized. Like okay, this is it. Before, I think it was more general. Like, oh, we
Right.
have to eat pasta and salad because it's healthy and because
Mm-hmm.
we need the carbs or whatever. because I ate
Hmm.
so much pasta and salad
I know. I
and
know.
chicken in my life because I
Yeah.
play tennis and you need the
Yeah.
carbs, whatever, but it might not be the best. But right now we have that availability. So I think everything is getting better. So you're providing better results and it's faster now. I think it's
Mhm.
harder. I like a couple players out there. Uh, Obviously, Carlos Alcaraz, I like. And when he
Yeah.
was like two
So
years,
fun.
no, 3 years back, I'm like, okay, this guy, like, could,
You recognize him early on, like before he
yeah,
exploded.
yeah. Like
Wow.
Fonseca, saw him last year,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, this guy has a top 10 forehand,
Yeah.
and he's like 17,
It's
and
crazy.
he has good. I like him. Like
Hmm.
out of the
Yeah.
players right now, I would say I like him the most.
Hmm.
I like Sinner too.
Yeah. Sinner
Um,
just doesn't have as much of a personality as what you would like,
yeah,
right?
he
Like he doesn't
doesn't, man.
show that much emotion. I went to I think it was the quarterfinal of the US Open when he played Medvedev, and that match was like watching paint dry. It was so boring just watching the two of them play.
Yeah,
And I was hoping for at least like a Medvedev outburst or something, but
yeah.
nothing. I think it was
I
like,
mean, obviously he's Italian, but
yeah,
I think his family is German,
yeah,
so
yeah,
he's
yeah,
a little bit more like boom, a little bit more
yeah. That makes
German.
sense. That makes
Thought.
sense. Uh-huh.
Latin, like Italians are more like Latin feeling,
You're right.
but Germans are like a little bit more.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset. But what um what are your thoughts on coaching being legal now? Like on court coaching? Because you didn't have that when you played. Is that something that you wish you would have had, or
um,
do you think it takes
yes,
away from the game?
it takes away from the game. I was gonna say yes and no. Yes, because I think in certain scenarios could be good
Mm-hmm.
because it's like instant feedback, but it takes away the solving problem that it's
All right.
one versus one, which that makes tennis or that made it a little bit more unique than other sports.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I understand the coaching part. I understand that it was happening before it was even legal,
It was,
like
wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, from juniors, you can say the coaches, you can see them doing signals, you can even
Mm-hmm.
see them or hear them talk. I've told the referee a couple times, hey, he's getting coached. What can I do? Like
Yeah.
you can tell them something, you
Yeah.
can penalize them, but it's happened for quite some time. Um, I agree in some scenarios because it's already there and all sports
Mm-hmm.
have it. And I think the development of a player needs it. But maybe in Grand Slams would be fun not to have it. It's
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
tournaments,
Yeah.
maybe in the junior tournaments or in the futures lower tournaments because you're developing, maybe it could be good. But I'm just thinking the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
Right. Yeah, we all know Stefano Tsitsipas was notorious for doing it anyway before. But so you had mentioned before, you said in this podcast that you would hope to see another kind of big three era. So this next question is, what do you prefer the the sport having like three top guys who you pretty much knew, or let's say four top guys that you knew were going to win each tournament, or do you like how it's such a toss up right now? Like you have Jack Draper winning, and then you have Mensick winning Miami. Like
yeah,
there's so much variability
yeah.
in the
Oh
game.
my
Do you
God,
like that or no?
that's a tough question, and I think I'm gonna go with the second one. Like
Really?
I like
Yeah.
people. I mean, until there's that alpha again, which
Hmm.
you gain respect. You're like, okay, this guy is a big deal, and you want to have those heroes. You want to have
Hmm.
that best guy in the world.
Yeah.
But right now that everything is a toss up, I think it's time to enjoy that toss up until that domination comes. Like
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
reordering of what's happening, uh, and yeah, hopefully we get those big three back because they gave us so many memories.
Yeah, I like that. I like that take because it's a positive outlook. You're like accepting it for what it is. Like there is kind of a, like you said, changing of the guard, changing in the world order. So we're just gonna take that at face value, enjoy it, and then
Yeah.
wait for another
Yeah,
say
someone
domination
will
era.
pop up. Someone will
Hmm.
pop up because
Yeah.
it happens. Someone is just a little bit better, a little bit
Hmm.
more athletic, better IQ. I don't know, better movement, better
Yeah.
intuition, and it just starts happening. But yeah, it's just like you said, like face
Hmm.
value.
Yep. All right. I don't want to get too polarizing, but what are your thoughts on pickleball and then padel? Do you think
Um,
they complement tennis? Do you think that's a zero-sum game where if people, because here in the States especially, pickleball is kind of encroaching on to tennis, like where it's affecting, they're resurfacing tennis courts, they're
yeah,
closing them down altogether, they're just making pickleball courts. So it's kind of becoming an issue. Like at first, I didn't really care. I actually played pickleball.
yeah.
Now I'm pretty staunchly against it. But padel, I've
Oh
never
wow.
played. I really want to try it.
Yeah, like I played padel.
Yeah. It's
I
big in
enjoy it.
Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big in Mexico, in Argentina, it's
Uh-huh.
huge. In Spain, Brazil, they're really good.
Yep.
US, I think it might get bigger, but there's a lot of big sports in the US. So
Hmm.
it's like it takes some time to really get going. I know areas like Miami,
Oh
they have
yeah.
like two, three clubs. Um, it will grow eventually, but pickleball is super strong in the US. I have a couple people that I know that are involved, even in organizing
Mhm.
or playing in pickleball. It is completely different than tennis. Like,
Yeah.
it's the furthest away from tennis. Paddle, it's in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because you use an actual tennis ball, right?
yeah, and tennis ball. The other one is a plastic ball, and
Uh-huh.
even the volleys. When I played pickleball, I volleyed like a
Yeah.
tennis player, and the ball
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
go straight to the floor. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I'm like, am I crazy or what? What do I have to
Yeah.
do? And it was an adjustment period. I think overall it's good
Hmm.
for people to have things to do, like you're out there doing exercise and you're out there competing and doing stuff,
Hmm.
I'm up for that.
Yeah.
Obviously it's taken away from tennis, and that's a reality, and a lot of pros have said it. But hey, embrace the competition. Like, I
Hmm.
think, in my opinion, tennis is always going to be king. It's the most difficult sport out of the three. It's incredible difficult to learn. If you're at the beginning stages uh, of paddle or pickleball, you can play around. You'll have
Right.
fun, and that's what gets you going. Hey, I'm actually getting
Hmm.
better in
Hmm.
little bit of time. In tennis, it takes so much time. It's just like, it's the way it is until
Yeah. You
there's
got to be
something that it
patient.
comes
Hmm.
up. So yeah, and that's what we appreciate about tennis, that we understand that it's so freaking difficult, that hey, these guys are, even though it could be number one in pickleball, paddle, and tennis. I think the number one in tennis, it's
Hmm.
always going to be a little bit better than the other two, because of
Right.
maybe what we're seeing. But I'm not taking away from their sport. It's
Hmm.
just the overall difficulty of getting there.
Right. Right. So when you played pickleball, did you have fun? Like you liked it? Did you play doubles or singles?
It was doubles. I mean, it was
So you
like for
probably
fun,
barely
like,
moved, right?
exactly, like a family setting, and it was fun for me because the guys that I was playing, they were not as good, so I was
Ah, so
winning.
you just destroyed.
But
Yeah.
but then I played someone that could play. They were like two old guys. I'm like, okay, no way.
Yeah.
And I lost like
No way.
the three times that I played. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And people would see that I would be a tennis player, because one guy
Yeah.
approached me like, oh, you play tennis, right? Yeah, I can see.
Hmm.
And you could be a good pickleball player. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you hit the ball, do you pretty much like do you hit the ball with topspin or do you just go like slap and hit? I don't
In
know.
pickleball,
Yeah, in
I would hit
pickleball.
I would hit with topspin, but I think they
Yeah.
do it
It
like
doesn't
side.
help though, I don't
No, it
think.
doesn't
Yeah.
help. It
It's
goes
crazy.
down super quick.
Yeah, you've seen Jack Sock play
Yeah,
pickleball? He
yeah,
still whips that thing. It's
yeah.
crazy.
He hits the crap out of the ball. He has such a quick like
Hmm.
release. Like
Hmm.
his arm speed. It's crazy, and he's super talented.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up the body here, but we're gonna get into segments, so we're gonna do them a little different just because it's only me, Aiden's not here. So I'm gonna start off with instead of doing match of the week, I'm going to ask Luis. I'm gonna throw a few names at him, and he's gonna tell me how far he thinks they're gonna go in Monte Carlo. So let's start off with Rude. Like for example, is he gonna go quarters, semis,
I
or
think he
round
can
of
go semis.
16?
No,
Semis?
he can go semis.
Semis. All right,
He's a
Djokovic.
clay quarter.
He is. He's a clay rat, through and through.
Yeah.
Djokovic.
Oof. Is he hurt, or is he feeling healthy?
I think he might have the eye thing still. Remember, he had the sty in Miami. I don't
Yeah,
think that fully
maybe
went down, but
semis, quarters. Monte Carlo
yeah,
is slow court.
yeah, yeah.
He can definitely win it all, but I think semis,
Hmm.
semis or quarters. It's a
Yeah,
good
you kind
fight.
of never know with him because I feel like you always have to expect a final. Like you're not shocked if he makes it to the final, but then again, at this stage of his career, if it's an early exit, if he makes to the quarter, that's not even an early exit, but like if he makes to the quarters, you're not really disappointed because he's 38 years old and he's,
Exactly.
already accomplished everything there
Yeah.
is to in tennis. All right, how about your next guy, Alcaraz?
Oh, final.
Final. He's so hit or miss. Like I could see him round of 16 or final.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing with him. It's like Wawrinka a little bit when he's like,
Hmm.
okay, this guy's on,
Yeah.
he can go all the way. If he's
Yeah.
on in this tournament, and because it's a big tournament, I think he gets more his like
Hmm.
shoes, like winning shoes than other times. But yeah,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. How about Medvedev?
I don't know. I saw a clip today of him complaining a lot, and it's a little bit in his head. So I would say maybe quarters.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sounds
Yeah.
about right. I had Zverev on here, but that's irrelevant now. So let's
What you
let's
had
do.
him on?
I had him at the list. I thought at least quarters.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. He's been struggling, but I felt like this was going to be his breakout. Like he is generally more comfortable on clay, and I thought he's been tired of losing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think he'll come back though. I hate to see him struggle because I do think he's one of the guys that could potentially push the top guys. He's part of that Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Rublev era where they've kind of been squeezed out with barely any Grand Slams by the new generation. And I just
Yeah.
think with them, they still need a good representative, like an ambassador, and that's him. Because I
Yeah.
do think Medvedev and Tsitsipas are kind of on the back end.
And
All
I
right.
like him too. He has a game.
I know. I know.
I think
I
it's what we're talking, the mental side. There
exactly,
might be something
exactly.
something there that he has to work on.
He might need to go to your retreat there, work on his sports
Come
psychology.
come on, Alex, let's go.
Yeah. All right. How about Tsitsipas?
Tsitsipas. I would say quarters too.
Yeah, I like him here.
He
I
can
think he
do
has good
semis, huh?
potential.
He likes
Yeah.
he has this low court, yeah.
Yeah, you see him in his Aston Martin driving around.
I saw like,
Yeah.
yeah, a small clip of Monte Carlo, yeah.
Yeah, him and Paula. Yeah, that looked fun. All right, last one, Draper.
Ah, I
Yeah, I don't
actually like
know.
him. I actually, if I could tell you I would play like someone,
Hmm.
it would be similar to him.
Yeah.
Like with
Really?
even with the technique, like I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I played a little bit like him. Obviously, he's playing much better, but
Right.
similar
Right.
game. Yeah, similar game.
So you're
With
a
him,
lefty too, right?
he's lefty. Yeah, he's lefty.
Are you a lefty?
I'm lefty. Yeah,
Yes, that's what it was. Okay. See, I would love to like kind of look at Draper as that, but I'm not a lefty, so I can't. It's not the same.
yeah. He's
But
lefty. Well, he
mhm,
hits way
yeah.
bigger than me.
Yeah.
But I would say quarters
Hmm.
maybe.
Quarters.
If he's on his game, I would say semis because he plays really risky.
Hmm.
He on hard courts, I think he
Yeah.
does really well. And I don't know about the clay with that bounce that he can still like crush it and
Hmm.
be inside the baseline and dictating.
Right, right. Yeah. And then Runa wasn't on my list, but he was someone that he had to retire his first round match, which sucked. I don't know what his exact injury was, but he's also someone that's young and exciting to watch. And his mom in the stands is hysterical too. I don't know. I think she used to smoke cigarettes and now she just chiefs her vape in the stands the whole
Yeah.
time. It's so funny. All right, the next couple segments, before we jump in, we have some exciting news. We recently partnered with TruePro. They're a great place to buy strings, grips, and tennis apparel. Use discount code Painting Lines, that's one word, for 20% off store wide. You can find the link in our bio. We'll kind of run through. My what's new in tennis is Jensen Brooksby. He won his first ATP title, and this is a significant one because he did it during Autism Awareness Week, or sorry, Autism Awareness Month. And this is important. He came out a few months ago saying that he was on the spectrum, that this was something, he had a minor case of autism, and that he wanted to be an inspiration for other kids who are on the spectrum to look up to because there aren't any current tennis players with autism. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. And it was special too because he did it after such a rocky couple of years. You know, he had that injury and then he got suspended for missing drug tests and then he got injured again. And he was a qualifier in this tournament. So just winning
Wow.
him or seeing him win the whole thing was cool. Did you see him in Houston?
No, no, no. I didn't
Yeah.
see, but
Yeah,
that's
he
a
won
great story.
Houston. Yeah. And the crazy thing is he had to save three separate matches. He had to
I
save
know.
match points. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Nuts.
That
And
was his
then
tournament.
yeah. And then Tiafo lost twice in the second year in a row in the final. But
He's struggling a little bit too.
he is. That's not
I like him as a player, like his
yeah,
personality,
yeah.
and I
I
hope he steps it up.
I was gonna say, so in New York during the US Open time, you see his face on every single billboard. Like he is very marketable. He's probably, if not Fritz, he's probably the most well-known American tennis player. Like maybe not the best, but definitely the most well-known, I think.
Yeah.
Um, that's actually a good segue into our next segment, which is bet of the week. I'm taking Tiafo plus 110 over Popperin. I don't like to hear that he's struggling, but my my rationale here is that he's got a 1-0 head-to-head record against him, so he might have somewhat of a matchup advantage. And then he just made the final in Houston, so he had a good run there. He's been playing on clay, whereas Popperin, this will be Popperin's first match on clay the whole year. So I think that should have
You've been doing some research.
yes, I have to. I have to hit these bets. You know, I'm giving the people advice, so I can't be
Yeah.
wrong. But yeah,
Awesome.
I personally think that the clay could help Tiafo out here too because Poppin's got a big serve. The clay kind of naturally neutralizes it, and I think if Tiafo can hang in and play good defense, Poppin's game is very aggressive and it's prone to a lot of errors. So I think he can force some airs out of Popperin and come out on top. I'm very surprised that he's the underdog here. Like, who would you take in this matchup?
I probably would take like everything that you said. It made
Yeah.
complete sense. I think
Hmm.
the outlier would be like, how is Tiafo like doing? You know,
Like
like
rest,
internally,
right?
like
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like he's been losing, he's been shaky.
Hmm.
I know that he's probably better than Popperin most of the time.
Hmm.
The Popperin is dangerous, like you say, he has big weapons, but Tiafo, like it matches up well. You know, Tiafo has
Yeah.
good defense. He
Yep.
can play on clay. He can move. He has the angle shots that he likes hitting with the forehand,
Hmm.
opening up the court. Popperin is not as fast, so yeah. On paper, I think I'm more on what you're saying. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, stay tuned. The match is tomorrow, so we shall see. And I
Okay,
actually,
I'll see
yeah, I
your
saw,
text.
yeah, yeah. I saw Popperin play at Roland Garros last year against Kokkinakis on clay, and he lost. So I'm just in my head like, oh, Australians, they can't play on clay. But yeah, so that about wraps it up. Luis, thanks for coming on. For where could people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me. It could be my personal account. It's Luis
Hmm.
Flowers 11, or it's Sports Tulum Retreats, just like how it is. Like Sports Tulum Retreats, everything, no lowercase, no
No
nothing.
lowercase. Got it. Got it. Yeah, we'll put the handles in the captions and yeah, thanks everyone for listening. All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.